Hello and welcome to Bangladesh Today. For this episode, we travel to the Kolkata Book Fair, to the Bangladesh Pavilion and meet with Rashid Haider, Executive Director of the Nazrul Institute, who's also a fiction writer and a chronicler of the 1971 Liberation War. Thank you very much for speaking with us. I'd like to begin by asking you that, the Bhasha Andolan, it was very important in the history of Bangladesh. It was what kick-started the entire liberation war. Could you tell me something about that?
Actually, there is a wrong conception that the language movement has been started in 52. No. It has been started in 1948 because on 23rd February 1948, there was a proposal what will be the language to be used in the parliament, and it was decided Urdu and English. And the discussion was scheduled on 25th of February. Particularly on that day, Mr. Dhirendranath Datta from Kumilla, one of the districts of Bangladesh, he raised a point that not only Urdu and English, he just added or Bengali. You just look the strength of a word or. And Liaquat Ali Khan, the then Prime Minister of Pakistan, he became so furious and angry. And he condemned Dhirendranath Datta as the agent of India, as a communist, as a separatist.
Yeah, because it was that one language issue. Urdu, that's it.
Urdu, then and English, not Bengali. So, on that day, we say that is 25th February 1948, our language movement started, and it got momentum in 1952, 21st February.
The Bhasha Andolan.
Bhasha Andolan, and later on, this Bhasha Andolan, that is the language movement, has become the International Mother Language Day, which is passed by the UNESCO. And very interesting, what Pakistan did in 1948 and 52, in 52 they killed a lot of people for the language. But in 1999, when the mother language of the world is going to be introduced by the UNESCO, Pakistan was one of the supporters.
Who said that they would accept it as a... No, this is when Pakistan had serious objections, even though Urdu was not the spoken language in any area in Pakistan.
Yes, it is.
In spite of that, Urdu was very important for Jinnah and for the Pakistani establishment, and it was not acceptable to East Pakistan.
Of course, because 56% in the whole Pakistan, 56% of the people, they speak Bengali. And what are the other languages in Pakistan?
Punjabi,
Punjabi,
Sindhi,
Baluchi, then Northwest Frontier Province.
So there was no Urdu as such.
Urdu not. Very minor.
But it was supposed to be the essence of the Muslim two-nation theory,
yes,
and that for Muslims it would be Urdu. So,
and I'm going to tell that Pakistan wanted to introduce a lot of, what should I say, languages. That is, Bengali in Roman language, Bengali in Arabic language, Bengali and easy Bengali, just a peculiar idea, but finally nothing could stand. Nothing was accepted by the...
Even when Jinnah visited Bangladesh, even then he said one and only one language.
One and only language, that is in our race course field. Hundreds of people are present, and some students, they protested.
Dhaka University students.
And after 2 days in the Karjan Hall, a convocation was going on. Jinnah repeated the same issue, and there, just in front of Jinnah, we should say, on his mouth, they answered no. So he got the answer. He felt the nerve of the common people, and we are very proud of our language movement. And I should say, Bangladesh is the only country based on a movement which is called the language movement.
So it was the seed which led then the liberation war grew on that language movement. So tell me now, that do young Bangladeshis feel as strongly about the Bengali language as your generation felt?
Madam, this is February.
Yes, your language day.
Language month, we should say, language month.
And that's why there is the Bangladesh pavilion here in West Bengal.
If you go to Dhaka, you will see a book fair is going on at the premises of Bangla Academy, that hundreds of young people are participating, and hundreds of books have been published, going to be published, and this young generation understand well, without mother language we cannot go first. And one thing, as because from north to south, east to west, only one language.
That's right.
That's right. And our education system, the media of learning, education are Bengali.
Do you find that restrictive when students who graduate from Bangladesh, because they have learnt it in the Bengali language, had their education in the Bengali language, when they travel abroad, do you find that it is kind of restrictive, that they're not as fluent in English as probably Indian students?
That's true. To some extent, Bengali, the students of Bangladesh, they are not as fluent as Indian, because Indian students, children, whatever you say. But in many cases, the Bangladesh students, Bangladesh people are doing much better. In Europe. I myself have seen in the United States.
Yes, absolutely.
In Europe, I myself have seen.
If I was to talk about literature which came out in Bengali language, have all your great authors and poets, have they been translated into the English language like Bengali poets and authors in India have been translated into English?
Unfortunately, it is less regarding translation, but some people living outside, they are translating the Bengali language, Bengali literature, and particularly I should say our national poet Kazi Nazrul Islam. He is being popular. I myself have visited California State University, Connecticut State University. There, Nazrul is being taught there. So,
in the authors and in the poets the authors and poets who've been writing about the liberation war, There's a lot of conflict also, you know, social conflict that they've written about. Is that relevant even today in Bangladesh?
Yes, there are some prevails still now, but we are hopeful, we are optimistic, because the young generation, they are trying their best to side out the sentiment of those people, those who try to different anti-liberation. They are
Does the liberation war evoke the same kind of sentiments in the younger generation as it did in your generation?
Of course. Still, it is more than 40 years we have achieved our liberation. But you believe it or not, we have some days, that is first Boishak, that is the first day of the Bengali month, Boishak. On that day, 21st February, on that day, Language Movement Day. Particularly these 2 days are completely, fully secular. Thousands of people are participating, and even the mullah people and the religion people, they also participate.
Because it's a national movement that day.
National movement, because people express them in their own way on that particular day, that I am Bengali. Say 21st February or Pohela Boishak, that is first
day of the month, of the year.
Bengali year, yes.
No, you know, the reason I ask is that when Sheikh Hasina does her speeches, we often hear her referring to the 71 Liberation War, to the war crimes trials, and I wonder that, you know, there are people in the audience who were born after the Liberation War. Is she able to connect with them?
Of course. Because, you know, first Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, our father of the nation, he first introduced Bengali in the UNO. So, people of the world came to know that there is a language which is called Bengali. It is so unfortunate that we have that poet, Rabindranath Tagore, who won Nobel Prize for Literature. We have such a great poet, Kazi Nazrul Islam, who is regarded as the citizen of the modern times by Professor Winston Langley, professor of University of Massachusetts. He's a global citizen. He's regarded as global citizen.
Yes, his books are being bought here in the book fair in Calcutta.
Calcutta, and all those books have been sold.
Sold out.
Sold out.
Okay, here at the Bangladesh Pavilion, I mean, you're here in there, you can see that it's overcrowded with Indians from Bangladesh, from West Bengal, who are buying up your books out here.
And there is another interesting information I want to give you, that there is a stall, Nazrul Institute. Now it is fully empty.
Right.
All the books of Nazrul have been sold out.
Sold out. And they were in Bengali language or were they in English language?
Some books are in English, but most of the books are in Bengali.
In Bengali. And they want to read it in their original form and not in the translation, obviously.
But we are trying to, you will be happy to know that Nazrul is being translated into, it has been translated
in many languages, yes.
Have been translated into English. Some have been translated into French, in German, in Russian, in Turkish, in Chinese. So about 10 languages he has been translated. So gradually, his works are spreading out.
You know, when it comes to cultural nationalism, it doesn't create ethnic divisions in Bangladesh. No divisions come up because of that. Culturally, you're a united lot.
There is a common culture. If, you see, in the tribal areas, they have their own culture, they have their own tradition, they have their own presentation. But regarding Bengali, I mean Bangla culture, it is.
Okay, when you come to India and when you come to West Bengal, do you feel like a foreigner, or is it that Bengali identity which is almost similar or almost the same?
No, I do not feel like that because language is the main bridge between you and me, between me and you, anyway. But so for long after partition, say, there have become a big gap culturally, to some extent in language.
That should be bridged soon.
That should be bridged, I should say.
Thank you very much for speaking.
I'm very happy to talk to you.
Thank you. Thanks.